Samsung Galaxy A72 is a very important device. If you want to get a non-flagship Samsung device, this might be one of your top options after the Samsung Galaxy S21 or the Fan Edition series. So today we are going to extensively talk about the Galaxy A72 and find out whether this phone is worth it or not. And before I go ahead, please make sure that you have hit the subscribe button. And if you find this video good enough at some point, do hit the like button too. Alright, let's talk about the design and the build of this phone first of all. Now this time Samsung has made a big jump in the design department. This phone brings an entirely new design and an entirely new form factor. This phone has a boxy design and it's really easy to grip and it's not going to slip out of your hands. This time the phone is a little bit heavy. It's near 200 grams and it is a little bit thick too as compared to its predecessor. A plastic build, a plastic frame on this phone, but what makes it good is the fact that this time the phone is IP67 certified, which makes it water and dust resistant. It has a matte finish. Although this is kind of a rough matte finish, I did not quite enjoy it. It looks very premium, but it does not feel very premium in the hands, but it does have its pros too. This back is not going to pick up the fingerprint or the smudges, and it's not easily going to pick up the scratches either. Talking about the buttons and ports of this phone, another good thing about this phone is that it has a headphone jack, which is really difficult to find on a phone like this these days. And it has a hybrid SIM card slot. You can either put two SIM cards and a micro SD card and a SIM card in this phone. Last year we could put two SIM cards and an additional micro SD card in the Galaxy A71, and this is certainly a downgrade, but it's still better than the phones that do not offer a micro SD card slot at all. It has a dual stereo speaker. One speaker is at the bottom and one speaker is at the top of the screen. You can also get some advantage with the help of the Dolby Atmos available in this phone. The power and the volume buttons are on the right side as usual. The display of this phone is quite interesting. We get a 6.67 inches Super AMOLED panel with 90 Hz refresh rate. It's a full HD display and it's protected by the Gorilla Glass 5 this time. This is a big upgrade because the Galaxy A71, even the S20 Fan Edition, is protected by Gorilla Glass 3. So we do get a better display protection this time. The peak brightness of this display is 800 nits. I wish it was over 1000 nits at least, but with the 800 nits, it's not bad. It's not really good. Like the new E4 AMOLED screens have a peak brightness of up to 1250 nits. But I think that much of brightness is not good either, as there is an issue with the longevity of such high brightness displays. The Galaxy A72's 800 nits display is perfect. Even if you are using the phone outdoor, the visibility is going to be good. Obviously outdoor you have to use the phone with full brightness, and indoor it doesn't matter what brightness you are using, but if you are exposed to very high light, I suggest using this phone with maximum brightness, and it's going to give you a very good viewing experience. There is no issue with the viewing angles. The colors on this display are super accurate and I absolutely loved watching HD videos and playing the games on the screen. The HDR option appears for some videos on the YouTube application, but I am not sure if the HDR in the YouTube application works in real. This phone does have the HDR10 support, and I can confirm this right now that the HDR10 does not work in the Netflix application. Netflix does offer full HD playback, but it shows none for the HDR10 playback. This display does have the Widevine L1 support too, but the Netflix is not going to offer you the HDR playback. As far as the bezels of this phone are concerned, they look a bit chunkier as compared to the Galaxy A71. Samsung has definitely increased the size of the bezels of this phone. They do not look very bad. They might look a bit thick to you at first, but as you use the phone for a few days, you will get used to them and you won't mind the size of the bezels. What's good here is the fact that Samsung has decreased the size of the front punch hole. The punch hole is really small this time. As I said in my Samsung Galaxy A52 review, Super AMOLED panels are Samsung's own baby, and rest assured, you will find the best possible experience on the Samsung Galaxy A72. Moving on to the software of this phone. Now this phone out of the box runs on the One UI 3.1 based on the Android 11. After using the phone for only one day, I got a new update adding the 60 frames per second video recording to the cameras of this phone. Now the software, the One UI 3.1 is definitely one of the best softwares for Android out there. On the One UI 3.1, the amount of bloatware is really low. You are not going to dislike the UI out of the box. Now the latest UI offers some good features on this phone. You do get the always on display, and the always on display on this phone is one of the best. You do get the dark mode that is going to help you save a little bit of battery, call and text on other devices, and the continue applications on other devices. The advanced mode has a handful of options to improve your overall UI experience. The dual app support is there too, and yes, this phone does have the secure folder. Now there are a few flagship features like the video call filters and the Samsung DeX. Those features are not a part of this phone. Those are the flagship features, and you should not expect those features on such a phone either. I mean, there should be a difference between the flagship and mid-tier devices. The navigation gestures on this phone are really good. If you want to enjoy the full screen experience, I recommend turning on the navigation gestures. The animations are super fluid. You don't have to touch the animations. You don't need to reduce the amount of animations. You are just going to love the fluidity of this UI right out of the box. On the top of all this goodness, Samsung is going to give 3 big updates on this phone. The Galaxy A72 will go all the way up to Android 14, and Samsung has also promised the security updates for up to 4 years. A few days back, there was a confusion going on whether this phone is powered by the Snapdragon 720G or the 732G. I have tested the chipset of this phone through multiple applications, and I have concluded that the Samsung Galaxy A72 is powered by the Snapdragon 720G. Some applications show it as 732G and some apps show it as 720G. The 720G has actually better processing speed than the 732G. So whether it's 720G or the 732G, the chipset is just fine on this phone. It's an old gen chipset. It's not really advanced, and the performance of this phone is not advanced either. So I ran the Antutu benchmark on this phone for multiple times. If you are going to run the Antutu benchmark for the very first time on a fresh phone, you are going to get a score of around 290k. But if you are going to throttle your phone, the score will go all the way down to around 250k. I did run the 3D Mark gaming benchmark on this phone, and I'll definitely show you its results too. And I'll also show you the results of the Geekbench and the AndroBench storage benchmark. And by the way, I am using this phone with a RAM of 8GB and its internal storage is 256 gigabytes. And yeah, you can also expand this storage up to 1 terabyte. I have played a number of games on this phone, and I believe that no one else has tested this phone more than I did. So I played the PUBG Mobile on this phone first of all, and I'll attach the gaming review right here on the cards as well. For the PUBG Mobile, the maximum graphic options that you get are the smooth and ultra frame rate. You cannot go above the ultra frame rates on this phone. Now this means that you are not going to get more than 40 frames per second for a game like PUBG Mobile. The gaming experience is really good. There are no lags, no stutters, and you are not going to face any kind of issues while playing the games. And the best part is that even though it's an old chipset, but this chipset does not let the phone heat up. I did extreme testing of this phone, and it only produced heat when I continuously recorded 4K video clips on this phone, or when I continuously throttled this phone for hours. Otherwise, this phone does not heat up, and this is one of the best features of this phone. You can game for as long as you want, and this phone is not going to spoil your experience. If you play the games like Call of Duty Mobile or Asphalt 9, you are easily going to get 60 frames per second, and that experience is going to be of next level too. It's a piece of cake for this phone to run such games, and with this good display, with these good colors, you are definitely going to love every bit of gaming on this phone. So despite an old chipset, I definitely loved the performance of this phone. While gaming, one of the main concerns is the speaker of the phone. Now this phone has a dual stereo speaker, as I just said, but do not expect flagship level quality from this speaker. I tested this speaker in comparison to my Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra, and I believe this speaker misses a little bit of bass. And by the way, I did try the Bluetooth headsets with this phone too. The Bluetooth connectivity was quite flawless. I did not have any sound stutters or any connectivity issues at all with my Bluetooth devices. Talking about the cameras on this phone, now there are 4 sensors in this phone. The 4 rear camera sensors I mean. The main sensor in this phone is the Sony IMX682 sensor. This sensor is from last year and this is a 64 megapixel sensor. This phone has an 8 megapixels telephoto sensor. These two sensors are optically stabilized and it has a 12 megapixels ultra wide camera. The Sony IMX682 sensor is really good as far as the color reproduction is concerned. I really like this sensor. I actually enjoyed it on the Samsung Galaxy M51 as well. As far as the camera apps features are concerned, it's loaded with a number of useful features. It has the brand new Snapchat mode. The Snapchat Fun mode will let you use the Snapchat filters right inside the camera application. It has 60 frames per second video recording capability from the front and the rear camera. You can record 4K ultra wide videos. You can switch between ultra wide and wide cameras while recording a video. You can pause a video. This phone lacks the option to switch between front and rear cameras while recording a video. The night mode, slow-mo, super slow-mo is also there. I was hoping to get the raw photography option in the pro mode of this phone, but unfortunately it hasn't made its way to the mid-tier Samsung devices yet. There is a pro video mode on this phone too, and I took a number of photos on this phone and I have already posted a full camera review of this phone too. And my findings say that this phone has the best possible ultra wide camera in this price bracket. You are not going to get a better ultra wide camera in this price segment. Other brands can sell a lot of gimmicks, but Samsung should be given the credit where it's due. They have the best ultra wide camera on their Samsung Galaxy A72 as far as a mid-tier device is concerned. The main camera takes very good images. The images have a little bit of color boost as compared to the Samsung Galaxy A52. So if you are a fan of capturing those vibrant colors, this camera is going to fulfill all of your needs. The 64 megapixels mode of this phone takes very good images. The images have a very good zoom in capability. You can capture landscapes and you can zoom in as much as you want. The 8x telephoto camera of this phone does a good job too. Up to 3x you are going to get a very good result. And you can go all the way up to 30x. The space zoom is a part of this phone as well. As far as the night mode photography is concerned, this phone performs good. I did not find a lot of noise on its images. The ultra wide night mode is still missing on this phone and I wish Samsung brings that missing mode as soon as possible. The front camera takes very good images too. The front camera lacks a little bit of saturation when compared to the selfies taken on the Samsung Galaxy A52, but the details, the sharpness in the selfies is really good and you are actually going to love the depth effect in the selfies. At times the portrait mode images from this phone look almost 3D. The macro camera, I am not a fan of macro images, but the macro camera on this phone is just average. As far as the video recording is concerned, there is no electronic image stabilization or optical image stabilization in the 4K at 30 frames per second mode. We deserve the electronic image stabilization in the 4K mode at least, and I truly wish that Samsung enables the EIS in this mode as soon as possible. So the video stability needs big upgrades on this phone. The same goes for the 60 frames per second videos too. No EIS or OIS in the 60 frames per second videos either. In the 1080p at 30 frames per second, the optical image stabilization of this phone's cameras works, and so yeah, if you want to capture high-res videos on this phone, you are probably going to need a gimbal or you will have to mount your phone on a tripod. Let's talk about the battery. My favorite part about the Samsung Galaxy A72. This phone has a big 5000 mAh battery and this battery lives up to the promise. I conducted 2 different battery drain tests on my channel. In the first test, I did not put a lot of pressure on the phone. I recorded 1080p at 30 frames per second videos in the first test and the phone lasted for about 9 hours and 44 minutes. And this is a huge battery backup for any phone. 9 hours and 44 minutes of screen on time is just amazing. In the next test, I put a lot of pressure on the phone and I recorded 4K at 30 frames per second videos on this phone. So in that test, I also found that this phone has no 4K at 30 frames per second time limit for the video recording. And this phone has such a good temperature management. It doesn't shut down on its own. Yes, the temperature does go up, but the phone somehow manages it. Anyways, the battery backup with 4K video recording was about 9 hours and 3 minutes. about 40 minutes less than the previous battery backup time. Now this phone ships with a 25-watt charger and the charger takes about 80 to 85 minutes to hit 100%. And this now brings us to the conclusion. The Galaxy A72 cuts down the gap between the mid-range and the flagship devices. The only downside that I see in this phone is its old gen chipset. The plastic design is okay. We are getting plastic build on the flagship phones too these days. So the build is not really a concern. Yes, the competitor products offer a glass build with better glass protection as well. But for this phone, I think it's just fine. This phone brings a micro SD card slot, it brings a headphone jack, and it gives you the IP67 certification as well. The cameras of this phone are optically stabilized. So these few features are very rare on a mid-range device. So if the Samsung Galaxy A72 offers an old gen chipset, it certainly offers a number of features that you are probably not going to find on any other mid-range device. For example, if we compare this phone to the Poco F3, the Poco F3 might have a very good chipset, but that phone doesn't have a headphone jack, expandable storage, IP67 certification either. And I believe these features are really good to have on a smartphone. So if you want to pick up one device between the Samsung Galaxy A72 and the Poco F3, it drills down to your brand preference first of all, and then it drills down to what compromises are you willing to make. Are you ready to compromise on the performance and get a whole lot of goodies, or you want the good performance and you want to compromise on a complete set of goodies that I just told you about? Let's not forget about the battery. No other phone is going to give you a battery backup as good as this one. So do I recommend the Samsung Galaxy A72? Well, yes, I do. Is the Samsung Galaxy A72 value for money product? Well, not really. If you want a value for money product, you probably don't want a Samsung device. Remember, Samsung does have its brand value which matters in a lot of markets, and it is not going to give you a phone with a lot of flashy features in a really cheap price bracket. So you have to keep this in mind while getting your hands on a Samsung device. Now this doesn't mean that you have to agree with me. You have full right to disagree and drop your constructive criticism down in the comment section below. Let me know where do I need to make improvements in my videos. Make sure you have hit the like button and also make sure that you have subscribed to my channel too. With that being said, I will sign off and see you all in the next one.